There's nothing like making wooden toys and seeing the joy on a child's face when you give them the toy and they start playing with it. I think that the best toys are ones where the child can use their imagination and keep busy for hours. I have plans for cars, trucks, planes, trains, and boats in my library. One of my viewers requested a big project. I asked if an aircraft carrier was big enough, and he said that would be dope. I'm an old dude and I have trouble keeping up with current idioms, but I think that's a good thing. I've started this project, but it's going to take a while longer to build the aircraft carrier plus the helicopter and some F-14s, so I'm going to try something different. Today I'm going to give you an overview of my progress so far. Then, next time, I'll either post another progress video or I'll have the complete step-by-step video ready. Anchors away. I don't know anything about shipbuilding, but the hull seems like a good place to start. The plans for this project are from toymakingplans.com, and they are thorough. The plans include pictures of the finished product, assembly diagrams, and full-size plans. The hull has a left and right side, I believe the nautical terms are port and starboard, made from 6/4, meaning 1.5-inch thick material. I chose poplar because I plan on painting the ship. It takes 2 sheets of paper to make the pattern for each side, and the instructions explain how to tape the patterns together. I'm using a number 12 Pegasus modified geometry blade for this thick material. I've tried many blades over the years, and the modified geometry blades are my favorite. If you want more information, I'll leave a link to my scroll saw blade test video in the description. Once the sides were complete, I added 2 blocks at the bow to give the hull a proper width and a place to create the angled bow. I cut these on my miter saw. These blocks were glued in place, then the 2 sides were joined, and lastly, 2 blocks were added at the stern to keep the sides properly spaced and to close up the ship's stern. Next, I measured out a 1/2-inch thick bottom for the hull and glued it in place, and then it was time to make the ship's deck. I didn't have any 1/2-inch thick poplar wide enough to make the deck, so I edge glued 2 boards together. The flight deck is so large that the pattern required 6 sheets of paper. Once it was glued up, I decided it would be best to put the center line of the pattern over the center line of the panel. I started with 2 pipe clamps on my workbench to support the 2 boards I was gluing together. I squeezed a bead of glue onto each edge and then used my fingertip to spread the glue evenly. I tightened 1 pipe clamp at each end of the assembly and added 2 long F-clamps in the middle. I checked everything carefully to ensure I would have a flat assembly on the edges and in the middle. Once the glued-up panel was ready, cutting the deck was next. This proved challenging, not because the pattern was complicated, but because it was so long. I solved the problem, which I'll show you in the full video, and cut the deck. This is all I could get done last weekend because I also have several other projects under construction. Next weekend, I'll build the structure for the aircraft carrier's deck, I think it's referred to as an island, a helicopter, and some F-14s. I'll also need to paint everything. So ensure you're subscribed to the channel and have clicked the notification bell. That way you won't miss the full video on how I solved the problem of cutting the deck, plus a full step-by-step run-through of the construction. Until then, I provided links on the screen to 2 videos you may want to watch right now.